So who takes care of you?
I do.
This is gonna make some people mad, but I don't really care. It's okay to miss when your boyfriend paid half your rent or split bills with you. I feel like the financial side of a breakup is something that nobody really ever talks about because it's kind of taboo, right? It's like you don't want people to think that that's the only reason you dated them because they gave you some financial security. At the end of the day, financial security is everything. And if you felt that freedom of having your ex, paying half your rent or splitting utilities or a car payment, you get what I mean, and then suddenly not having it anymore, that's very real, and you should not feel ashamed about it. Because in your heart, that's not the reason you dated them. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. It's okay to mourn that time when you were able to breathe a little bit easier because you weren't having an anxiety attack every time your phone pings and you have a new bill coming up. So if this is you, just know that I see you and I feel you, and it's hard because you're heartbroken, but you're also broke at the same time. It's like one day you go from splitting bills and then the next day you're crying on your bathroom floor wondering if you're gonna have enough money to eat this month. Obviously I'm being dramatic, but you get the point. So if this is you, drop a money emoji and maybe comment something that was an unexpected expense after your breakup, because it's nice to know that we're not alone in this.
For years the message sounded empowering. Be independent. Don't rely on men. Build your own life and everything will fall perfectly into place.
So right here is what you call a single parent. Look like she just had a long day of work. Came home, cleaning up. No man in the house. She taking out the trash right here, y'all. This is a prime example. If you want to be like this, just keep running around on that internet screaming that independent shit. And you too will wind up just like this woman right here, 2026, doing everything on her own because she chose to go lay up with a nothing type of dude. A nothing type of dude. And y'all gotta understand, these women get out here and they go for these BS dudes. That's not about nothing. And then they have the nerves to get on this internet and talk about how independent they are. And they don't need a man to do nothing. But look at her, she taking out this trash.
Just stop already. What's wrong with you?
All right, y'all. This was a complete prank. And I was just fucking with her, man.
The idea was that complete independence would solve every problem. Relationships were optional, marriage was outdated, and the modern independent lifestyle was supposed to be the ultimate win. But fast forward to 2026, and reality is starting to hit a little harder than the motivational speeches promised.
So for all the men out there who are like, oh, women don't want to chase us anymore because they're all boss babing their way through life and they're financially independent. Most of us are broke as fuck. Most women like myself are struggling financially in this economy. Half of my wage goes towards rent. And despite this, many women still don't want to find a man. Not because they're thriving. I'm certainly not thriving. I'm fucking flirting with financial ruin. But would rather be broke and alone than with you going 50-50, putting up with your bullshit and giving us the bare minimum. We are over it.
Living alone in a modern economy is expensive. Rent keeps climbing. Groceries aren't cheap anymore. Bills stack up. And suddenly the glamorous idea of doing everything alone starts looking less like freedom and more like financial pressure with no backup plan.
If I had to go against the world on my own with a young baby, here's what I would do. I would humble myself and I would use the transition office in my state to supplement my income with food voucher, daycare voucher. Now I know it's tough because you have to make a certain amount of money, and if you start making more, then your benefits drop. I understand that. But I would use the state benefits to my full advantage because I want to save as much as possible. Once you start making more and your benefits drop, here comes the transition, which is the hard part. Let's just say that you have a voucher for an apartment. You have your daycare voucher. You get in your food benefits and all that decreases because your income has changed. Let's talk about changing your income in the first place. Now, the job market is tough out here, but I'm going to tell you who's always hiring. It's always going to be Verizon, AT&T, the utility companies, always hiring. I don't care what nobody tell you, they always hiring. And they always looking for black women because there's not enough. See, you got to go against the grain with this one. IBEW, girl, if you can get in there, take that apprenticeship, you pass that, oh, you gonna be making some six figures, all right, okay? Let me tell you, when I was working at FedEx, I was making like $530 a week. And I was driving a tractor. I was trying to get a full-time position, but I was only part-time. And I seen that position open up at the gas company. I put my name in. I ain't know nothing about gas. Honey, they called me in a week. I made sure I was never late to work. I made sure I was always on time. I was always dressed, my PPE. I don't care what nobody said. I did not know how to wrench. They will teach you. You will learn. They will pay for all your education. And you will always have a step increase. And like I said, because you black and you a woman, you going against the grain. So just know that. Like, just know. If you can get an electrician, plumbing, gas, HVAC, okay? My first year I hit 64, okay? I hit 64. I didn't know what to do. I was still bottom of the bottom, and that means you got to work any shift they give you and you can't say no. This is the sacrifice. Someone's going to have to sacrifice in order for you to grow. It's hard because you have a baby. What's harder is not making that sacrifice and then having to have choices made for you. Union is the way to go. Now, unions are not fair. That's one thing I have learned, that unions are not fair, but it is the way to go. It is the lesser of two evils out here. You will always have steady employment. And if you can't obtain a union job, or if you're receiving state benefit, there are programs where the state will actually pay for your community college training or a trade school in which you can get your CDL for free. That's saving you 15 grand off the rip. So if you can't get into the union, at least you can use your driving experience to get a better job. And that still can get you six figures.
For a long time, traditional relationships quietly worked as a kind of built-in support system. Two incomes, shared responsibilities, shared expenses, and someone else helping carry the weight of everyday life. But when the entire narrative becomes, you don't need anyone, eventually people start discovering what that actually means in practice.
I did not start to combine finances with a partner until the age of 34, which was the first time I moved in with someone. I had lived my entire life on my own, I had my own house, have always paid for my own life, my own trips, my own dreams. And the financial benefits you receive when you start to couple up with someone and join forces is staggering. It is so expensive to be a single person. And I'm not saying this to throw a pity party, but just to recognizing that that's just another added layer of the struggle. If you're chronically single or someone who's never been in a relationship at all, as someone who identifies as a late bloomer. And it just blows my mind how the world is meant for partnered people. It's built for partnered people. And not that single people pay a penalty, but it just means that everything's a little bit harder financially, emotionally, when you don't have that other person. And hey, if you are happily living single, this video is not for you. But for those people who are struggling with it, this is where this is it's like salt in the wound. I'm a financially independent person. I don't need anyone to cover my bills, but will be the first to tell you that it is helpful knowing that there is someone in life helping push you both forward, just in all the ways that matter. So it's just a hard part. It's just a hard part of the single struggle that I want to recognize.
It means you handle everything yourself. Every bill, every emergency, every financial setback. And in a world where the cost of living keeps rising, that can turn into a stressful situation very quickly.
I never complain on here, but honestly, I've been in tears all day. So I got the flu, got sick from my parents, didn't tell me they were sick about 3 days ago. I had back-to-back sessions on the last 2 days, 10 sessions, barely alive, breathing in my session. Yesterday, I woke up with hives all over my body and freaking out, contemplating life and wondering, should I go to the ER or just take Benadryl? Because my whole body was covered, so I think I had a reaction of something. Now, as a spiritual person, I'm I'm protected, I'm all this, but no. Are some people just being challenged right now? Because I feel like I am being challenged to a T. How can I run a business being sick? And then I found out that the insurance that I had ran out. So if I go to the ER or go to urgent care, I have to pay out of pocket. Not that the medical was any good anyways, because I had a high deductible. Please someone pinch me, tell me what the frick is going on, because I literally can't. I cannot. So I can't even do any readings. I can't even function. All I'm doing is making sure that I'm not hiving up and not itching and not coughing and blowing my nose. Who else can resonate? Because I'm freaking over it.
Meanwhile, a lot of men have stepped back from the dating market entirely. Instead of rushing into relationships, they're focusing on building their finances, investing in themselves, and protecting their time and resources.
Another thing, with 2026 around the corner, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody cares if you're a single mother. Nobody cares if you're struggling. Nobody cares, okay? So how do you save yourself? You save yourself by literally solving people's problems. Solve people's problems, present the solution online, and it's literally just that easy.
So the dynamic that once existed, where relationships formed naturally and responsibilities were shared, isn't functioning the same way anymore.
I just filed my taxes, and I want to cry. I do not understand. Please, IRS, make me understand how I owe taxes. Not to mention, the little return I was going to get from the state was immediately drained back out because of how much it costs to file my taxes. And there's only 12 states that get the direct file from the IRS, which is bullshit. I have the max amount taken out of my paycheck. I don't understand how I owe money. I don't do anything. I don't own anything. I can't afford to have anything. I can't even afford to rent an apartment because they're all over $1,500 a month. Oh my gosh.
Now you're starting to see conversations online where people are realizing that independence isn't always as simple as the slogans made it sound. Running an entire life solo can be exhausting, especially when the economic pressure keeps rising year after year.
I just watched one of the saddest lives ever. They have this young mom. She's a mom of 3. She said that she had 2 children prior to the relationship that she was just in. She told the guy that she was in love with that she would not want to have another child until she is married. Of course, they ended up getting pregnant. He did propose to her, so that put her mind a little bit at ease with delivering her 3rd child, his first child. So after having a baby, of course, he's starting to show his ass and this and that. So he did tell her that if she would have passed away during delivery of that 3rd child, that he would have just took his child with her. He would have took his child if she passed, and he didn't care what would have happened to the other 2 children. So she's now crying, saying that nobody's going to take her seriously. No man is going to want her with 3 children. She's not going to ever have a chance of being a wife. And it's just so disheartening because, she did say, she was like, people bash single moms all the time, but they don't tell their dads nothing. None of these dads out here that's around here creating broken homes, nobody telling them nothing, nobody getting on them. But the baby mamas are always the ones that's being bashed. And it's a lot of truth to that, baby. Look, there's a lot of single moms out here that were married. All you can do as a mom is to try to make better decisions moving forward when it comes to your body and who you give it to, what type of access you allow these men, and work on yourself. There's plenty of men out here that will wife you with 3 children. But then again, like she said, it's a chance of, is there a pedo? What are the intentions with you with having those children? But there are some good men out here that will take you serious, but you have to start moving different. You have to start taking yourself seriously. It's not going out here looking for a new boo, a new man, and none of that. Focus on the 3 children you have. Build your relationship with God. And what's for you is going to be for you.
And here's the uncomfortable twist. The same system that once encouraged everyone to go completely solo now offers very few solutions once the financial reality sets in. Because independence sounds great in theory.
If you find that you're always struggling to pay your bills, or you always feel like you don't have money, you don't have enough money, every time you need to do something you really need to do or want to do for yourself that requires money and you don't have it, if you are the person that everyone always asks to borrow money from, even when you know in yourself that you need the money that you have, if you are always the person who comes through for other people, right? You always overpay. When you go out to dinner, you take over the whole bill. Really, you should be splitting it with the other people at dinner. Typical financial advice is often that you are overspending. that you are not tracking your spending as closely as you should be. You need to go through those bank statements. You need to stop buying that coffee. You need to stop buying yourself lunch. But I want to invite you to think about the fact that you probably need to look at your relationship with money, specifically your subconscious beliefs about whether or not you believe you deserve to have money, whether or not you believe you deserve to have more money than you need, whether or not you believe you deserve to have savings so that you feel supported, so that you always have the option of doing what you need to when you need to do it. I would invite you to think about your nervous system, because the chances are your nervous system, which is trying to keep you safe, is threatened or feels threatened when you have more money than you need. Feels threatened when someone asks you to borrow money. Your gut instinct says that you need to say no. But because you've been taught to overcare, to share, to always be generous, to always show up for other people, maybe you've historically and habitually always done that. Your nervous system feels threatened when you even think, actually, I want that money for myself. Actually, I need to keep that money for me. Your nervous system probably feels safe when you almost always have enough, when you nearly just make the bills every month, when you nearly meet your financial obligations and nobody else knows that secretly the day before your rent or mortgage is due, you're worried about not being able to make it. Secretly, you're relieved because yet another month you've made it just in time. That is what your nervous system is used to. It wants to keep you in that loop because that loop is familiar. That loop works for you because actually secretly you feel like, yes, I've done it. Secretly you feel like, whew. You take pride in the fact that you always just make it. You always are able to give to other people even when you don't have. You are always able to meet those base financial obligations even if it was tense, even though it felt very tense for a minute there. So I invite you to think about the subconscious beliefs that you have about your worthiness, your relationship with money. I invite you to think about your nervous system and the fact that it probably feels safe in the familiar of constant struggle, living to paycheck. That's what it's familiar with. Therefore, that's what's safe to it. Actually, if you were to go and make more money than you ever needed, if you were to keep more money for yourself, if you were to keep or stop lending money to other people, you would start feeling overflow. You would start feeling peaceful. You would start feeling supported. You might even initially start feeling selfish because, of course, you've been taught that it is selfish to have more than what you actually need. Ignore that kind of traditional advice to literally go and get a spreadsheet out. Yes, there's a time and place for that. But actually, there's deeper work you need to do on your subconscious, deeper work you need to do on your nervous system so that you can finally break the patterns. You can choose something different. You can choose to have more money than you need.
But when the bills arrive, the rent increases, and the safety net doesn't exist. Suddenly that do-everything-alone lifestyle starts looking a lot less glamorous than the marketing promised.
Men stopped playing by the rules, and now everyone's freaking out. Let's break down why silence has become the loudest move.